Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Podcast Show. I'm your host, Ronald Donahue, and tonight I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Jeff McIntosh.
Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from upstate New York.
And Mr. Mario Lazo.
Hey, how y'all doing out there?
So tonight, we're going to start off the show. Well, the format of our show is we'll typically start off discussing one or two articles or something entertainment-wise, news articles or stories we've heard, rumors we've heard, or what have you. And then we'll finish up our podcast tonight with our question of the week. But to start off, I saw an article. It came out a couple months ago in CBR.com, their website. It appears that the Mattel Toys property, Masters of the Universe, is being remade again. You all remember the last time it came out was in 1987, starring Dolph Lundgren. It had he was He-Man. They had Frank Langella as Skeletor. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I didn't even know that. I did not, because I don't even remember. I know I saw it, but I don't even remember, to be honest with you, her role in the movie.
She was, I was just looking at the trailer. She was just when Skeletor and his evil minions came to Earth, they had that little device that always reminded me of a hand.
Okay.
And it was like I'm thinking Star Trek, and I want to call it like a warp field generator or something.
Okay.
But that was the mechanism that they used to travel between dimensions or between Earth and Eternia.
Okay.
And her boyfriend was the kid who went to the crash site, and he took this warp field generator, or whatever the name of the thing was, and that drove the plot for the rest of the movie. That Skeletor was looking for it, and Evil Lynn came here, and they were tearing up the city to find it, and then they ended up taking the guy captive, and he gets away, and then they capture Courtney Cox, and just all kinds of nefarious doings by Skeletor and Evil Lynn, and
much like the cartoon.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So the newest version is supposed to star, and again, this is nothing's come out from any major studios or anything that says this is happening. This was actually just written, a written article that actor named Nicholas Galanzine is supposed to be playing He-Man. Alyson Brie is supposed to be playing Evil Lynn, and the role of Skeletor was offered to Jared Leto. So again, nothing has come out. No one has said anything. No studio has, come out and said this is happening or anything like that. This is just an article that just came out. I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't. Did either one of you watch the He-Man that was on Netflix? The cartoon animated one that just came out?
No.
Jeff, you saw it?
I saw an episode or so, I thought, but I mean, I liked the original cartoon, even though I thought, Filmation, I think, is kind of a cut rate animation studio. It certainly isn't Hanna-Barbera, but their animation was just kind of crappy, and the high point for me watching it was the intro, where he draws his magic sword, and he points it into the air, and he gets hit by lightning, and he goes, "I have the power." And I thought that was pretty neat. Now, the stories themselves were just kind of ridiculous. But what do you expect for a children's cartoon from the 1980s.
Right, and remember, most of those shows, the He-Man, GI Joe, man, those shows were to sell toys. So
Oh
I, you know what I mean. I don't think it was so much that. Put it like this: I watched the animated, the new one that came out, and I wasn't all that impressed with it. I mean, it was okay. I think what happens is I go back now. I'm off subject, but you remember how the original Godzilla movies were? You could basically almost see the zipper in the guy's outfit, in the Godzilla costume,
yeah.
and it was the quirkiness and just the goofiness, and I'm sure that's not how they wanted it to be, but that's what makes those movies like so cool. I think what happens to me when they take an old property, like say, like just like you say, like He-Man, even what they did, I think they ruined it. They did a animated version of Ultraman, which was, to me, I thought it was horrible. That came out on, I think, Netflix, either Netflix or Prime to it. It was horrible. I think what happens when they take those old kid shows, they try to spin them around now to like make them like more serious than what they were really meant for in the beginning for like kids to understand. I don't know. It kind of, to me, it kind of takes away the novelty of it. It just doesn't seem. I don't know. They just don't seem. I don't know. I guess they're trying to make it for like a new generation or what have you, but I don't know. I just haven't really gotten into them very much.
Well, I kind of see it, like I said last week, as a cash grab. I remember cartoon. Was it Cartoon? Yeah, it was Cartoon Network back when it was free.
Uh-huh.
They came out with another edition of the classic Looney Tunes, and the animation was crappy, and the voices weren't right, and it was just a all around awful, horrible experience to see something that was a great memory from my childhood, because
Uh-huh.
Dad and I would watch Looney Tunes because he liked the coyote and falling off a cliff, and
Yeah.
the inventions from Acme Corporation.
Right.
And if you have something that's a classic, at least as far as I'm concerned, leave it alone. There is absolutely no reason. There's no reason to remake it. Psycho, the original Psycho was a classic. But then again, 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was, they remade Psycho. And they used the exact sequence of film, and they used the storyboards and whatnot from the original movie that Hitchcock did.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. Well, no. Everybody has an ideal Norman, I suppose. And I don't know how big Vince Vaughn is. I think he's like 6'6", 6'7", something like that. So he is not going to be able to play, the tortured Norman Bates that Anthony Perkins did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mario.
I think, well, the He-Man itself is a remake of back in I think it was the late 60s, the Herculoids. That animated cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Because it about the same, well, I don't know if it's about the same time period, but, you remember the Herculoids then.
Right.
Physique and attire, and with the exception that the Herculoids had that rhinoceros kind of prehistoric animal that would fire out of
the triceratops. It was like a triceratops that would shoot like the stuff out of his horn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how long that Herculoids lasted. I was a kid back then, 7 or 8 or 9, but I don't recall the time, how long it lasted. and then you have the new one, the newer version of He-Man, and it kind of reminds me of that, you know. So I don't know if the idea came from the Herculoids or not, but it's pretty much, similar in style.
That's true.
You can't think
Yes.
of another episode or show, like it.
I saw. You know what? Yeah, there was. Now this I believe this was in the 80s. Yeah, because I was watching it growing up. You remember what was it? Thundar the Barbarian? That was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yep, on NBC.
That's right, Thundar the Barbarian, and then they had this. His name was Ukla. I guess he was supposed to look kind of like Chewbacca or whatever, his ride along partner.
Yep.
And then there was this. I don't remember what the girl's name was. It was a. I don't know if she was a princess or something, but she used to ride along with them. They had horses, and it was like thousands of years after some, I guess, like a atomic holocaust or something on Earth and what have you. So yeah, I guess so. But at the end of the day, my question is to ask you guys. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's time to do a remake? Do you think a live action remake is viable? I mean, is anybody you think really going to be interested to go see this thing?
Well, for my us baby boomers, I don't know. It's got to be not like I say eye candy, but it has to have a decent storyline and the characters, those who are going to play them, and we're assuming that those are the ones that are going to be done or they're going to play those roles. I don't know. I mean, when you mentioned the main character, I don't recall him in any. I just don't recall him. I can't see
Nicholas, the guy Nicholas Galanzine.
Yeah, what has he played in, or what does he start in?
Let me see.
If you gotta look him up, that means
This is awesome.
Let me see. Nicholas Galanzine. What has he been in? Well, it says he's an English actor. What's he been in? He's got some upcoming movies. It says something 3 Bags Full, a sheep detective movie. You know, that sounds like an animated movie. That one does. Let's see what else he's been in.
Like Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah. Okay, here's a couple movies he's been in. I've never seen any of them. One of them is called The Ideal of You. Another one is Red, White, and Royal Blue. Back in 22, he had Purple Hearts. 2024, something called Mary and George. Oh, okay. I didn't see this. I mean, I haven't seen any of his movies. And there's a Cinderella in 2021. He was in Cinderella. And then 2016, he was in a movie called High Strung. No, I haven't seen him in anything.
Yeah, no, neither have I.
You know,
that's not the kind of stuff that I usually prefer to watch. So
right. So, I mean, I guess it's we'll see. I mean, hopefully, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think Mario, I think you got it right. I think hopefully if it's a decent plot, decent storyline or what have you, maybe it might turn out good. I mean, you never know. I mean, it can't be any worse than the last one that came out, or could it? Or could it?
Well, from the last one, all I remember is Frank Langella playing in the Dracula.
Oh yeah, he did play. Yeah, he did play Dracula. Even right now, that on the last one that came out in '87, like I said, the last He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, it's got a 21% score on Rotten Tomatoes to this day.
Wow,
that's a terrible movie. Oh my God, it's a terrible movie.
I kind of look at it in the same way that I like to watch the old beach party movies of the 1960s and the Elvis movies, and my wife hates both of them, but they're just good, clean, stupid fun. They give an idealized portrayal of teenagers and, Elvis, and he gets into a situation, picks up a guitar and sings his way out of it. And, everybody is glad and they're happy, and, everybody goes home and they're great. Now, when Masters came out, I did not go to the movies and see it because it just looked, incredibly goofy. And I don't think, because I've seen the movie a couple times, and I don't think that there's a part where, Prince Adam holds the sword up, and that's the part that I really want to see. I want to see him being like your typical 98-pound Clark Kent kind of looking character. Then he gets hit by lightning, and then bam, he's this bare-chested god, almost like he's Fabio, if you know who Fabio is.
Right.
He's off fighting Skeletor and Evil Lyn. And I really want to see that. I want something that is going to be kind of serious. I don't want some kind of goofy, campy movie that, I'm going to be able to go and stream online, after it's been out in the theaters for a couple of weeks.
Maybe something like, that's considered fantasy. Maybe like, remember Flash Gordon? Maybe something like that. It had some serious stuff in it, but it was still, it didn't take itself too seriously either. I love that movie.
I'm afraid of a Shazam.
A who?
A Shazam.
Oh, good grief. Yeah.
That's when you think of something, a kaboom or something like that, when we were just talking about it, not just now, boom, Shazam came into my head, and I go, oh, no. And they even made a second one.
Yeah, they did. I didn't even waste the time to watch it.
So you see, I'm afraid of that type of a movie coming out. That is my biggest fear. So it's got to be something that appeals to a lot of different type of folks.
I think that's what happens. I think that, even in comic movies, I think you have a lot of people, if you're a diehard comic guy or person, you hear a lot of complaints about the movies. But then again, if you're a diehard movie person and you see a comic movie, then, they have their complaints. I think what happens, a lot of things don't translate well from like comics or animated movies when you try to put them, in live action. I know the one best example I ever heard was, for years, especially when it first came out, you always had Batman and Robin in the comic books. Teenage kid with a grown man going around fighting crime. But you see, even when they did the live action movie, though it was horrible, they had him as a grown man playing Robin. You know what I mean? It doesn't translate the same way on film as it does in comics or animation. So I guess there has to be that balance between, what they can do from the original series, which again, I understand, like sometimes I think they try to make it too serious, but I guess it's a fine line into what you can do, whereas they're going to be able to make the people who watch the original series happy, but then maybe some new people coming along that maybe have never even heard of this series before, make them happy as well, the moviegoer. You know what I mean?
When did it come out? The animation He-Man.
Oh, originally?
Yeah.
Let's see. I know it was back in the 80s. He-Man cartoon. Let's see. Yeah, I remember I used to watch that all the time. Let's see. The original, it came out for 2 seasons. The first season it came out was in 1983.
Okay.
Now, what's crazy? Now, this is funny. It has a Rotten Tomato score of 100.
You mean the movie? You mean the movie?
No, I'm talking about the series. The 1983. It came out for 2 seasons. It actually has a Rotten Tomato score of 100. That's funny.
So
I hated Orko. I'm going to come right out and say it. I could not stand the character of Orko in the cartoon.
Orko. And what was He-Man the lion's name? What was his name? Do you remember? Oh, Battle Cat. But what was his name before he turned into Battle Cat? Because he was just like Scooby Doo. He was like scared of everything.
Cringer.
Yes, that's right, Cringer. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was Cringer was so scary of everything. Yeah, I remember.
So
That's
now
it.
it's 40 years ago, and let's say you were 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that'd make you what, about 53 now? So
Yeah, because I was about 14 when this came out. So we're talking about what, 41 years, yeah. 40,
yeah.
no,
So
yeah, 41 years, yeah.
so have they tested that field of those folks in their early to mid 50s? How would they take to that?
I mean, I guess if they wanted to, I guess they could get the data from that Netflix show. I mean, to see how many people tuned in for that. That was like, it wasn't like the original series. I mean, it had people like dying and stuff in it, and it was. I guess it would be more for that one was probably more for teenagers than it was for little kids. The newest version that came with the animated one. So I don't know. I mean, I guess they could take a look and see, how many people were actually watching it. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't care for it. I haven't heard anybody else talk about how, if they liked it either. So who knows?
Because, see, when that came out, I was, 23, 24, maybe 23.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was married already, so I don't know if that, I didn't watch it. The only time I've seen it was, when it was at, I don't know, somebody's house but
right.
Not that I actually sat down purposely just to watch it. So, like I said, will it appeal to those folks that, were 10 or 12 at that time,
Mm-hmm.
now in their mid 50s or early 50s, and not considering the ones that they came out on the streaming service. So, I'd test the waters before I take a plunge and see, because I don't want, like I said, I don't want another Shazam, or I don't know, how well did Black Adam do?
Not well at all.
So you see that
not well at all.
Movies that are focused on that, that certain kaboom, how will it, because the successful Marvel movies, don't offer that. It's just the subdued action in it, So they got to be careful on how they bring out this movie, or who do they appeal it to.
Right, yeah. Who's their target? Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. So let's hope that they do a good study and create something decent, that people would, because nowadays, now the movies that come out within 2 months, they're streaming. So a lot of folks don't go to the movies, and spend, a minimum of $30-$40 to see it and buy a popcorn or a soda,
Yeah.
So only a couple or 3 people or 4 people. So,
have you even been to the snack bar at the movies, Mario? I mean, I used to love to go to the movies, but ticket prices up here where I live are approaching like $15 an hour, or $15 a ticket. So for my wife and my grandson and myself, we're $45 in. And then by the time you go to the snack bar and get your drink and your popcorn and your candy, you're in another $20-$25. So you're looking at, $60-$70 for an hour and a half or a 2-hour movie. And I would love to see somebody do something with prices. I mean, if you have a low budget movie that costs a couple $1 million, drop the price or have a special matinee or something. But these days, you're getting robbed.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not. I went to before we took my daughter up to college. We went to go see Deadpool, the Deadpool movie, and I'm for like you say a large popcorn and 2 drinks. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, it was like what, almost like 50. It was more than $50. You
Right.
know, I'm like, it's outrageous. And I pitched a fit, so the guy gave me the senior citizen rate, and the senior citizen rate was only about $2 off per ticket. I'm like, man, come on, it's crazy, but we'll see. Like I said, hopefully, hopefully they'll do a decent job on this movie. I mean, I hope it does well, and I mean, if it looks good enough, I'll check it out.
Did you say that no major studio has picked it up yet, or?
Right. I mean, this is all just, like I said, this was just an article that was written, but no studio has come forward yet and said, who's actually going to make this movie. So we don't even know yet. Maybe.
No, go ahead, Ron. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, that was all. That was all.
I had read something before we started, and it was linked with Amazon Studios, and I think Mattel has got a film version or a film arm of the company. So I think that it's Amazon and Mattel that are doing the movie.
So you think it's okay. I'm trying to figure. I wonder. Okay, if Amazon does it, that's kind of. Because I got to tell you, I'm not going to even lie to you. I hardly ever watch any. I mean, I have Amazon, I have Netflix, I have a bunch of these things. I hardly even watch any of the Amazon shows, to be honest with you. I mean, the movies. I mean, because most of the movies are not that great on there. I mean, they have a ton of movies. You have to really. It's like going in the bins at Walmart to try to find a decent DVD in the pile. It's like they don't have a lot of great movies. So I wonder why they would. Why would they do that? Why would they put it? I mean, how are you going to get money, from that? Generate money for that? I don't.
You mean Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, how? I mean, as opposed to putting out in the studio, why wouldn't you put it out like in a studio?
It's simple because nobody goes to a box store like Walmart to buy Christmas toys anymore. They all go Amazon. Like for example, selecting the mics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, would make a ton of money selling the toys, selling the t-shirts. If it's a good movie, like I said, the spin-offs from it, the toys, this, that, the other, because everybody goes to Amazon now. After COVID, everybody buys online. And
I do. Yeah, I do. I was doing that before COVID. I might have introduced everybody to Amazon. I don't like malls. I don't like crowds. So Christmas time, like birthdays, 99% of everything I buy for gifts is bought on Amazon.
So there you go. That'd be one of the. They're looking at the longer shot, not the momentous one at at the movies. Okay, well, but did it appeal to the kids, or did it appeal to a certain genre, or to the older adults, or the young teens, or the older teens, to sell, and again, the comic books that'll come out after it, if it comes out, So,
yeah, I don't remember seeing a He-Man comic book anytime in the past few years. To be honest with you, maybe it was, but I don't remember seeing if it was out there.
no. So there you go.
All right, so next thing I wanted to share with you guys, I watched yesterday the Nicolas Cage movie Longlegs. Yeah. No spoilers. I'm not gonna, for anybody who's listening, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'll say this here. It was okay. I thought it was okay. I think that Nicolas Cage, to me, when he tries to play like normal people, I don't think he does very good. But when he plays like these really weird characters, like, he played Dracula in Renfield, and the serial killer who he is that's Longlegs, who they were calling him in the movie. Yeah, he has that creep factor down pat. You know, I thought it was okay. I think the atmosphere in the movie was genuinely creepy. Um, the actors, actors they had. I don't remember the actress that it was starring. She played like the FBI agent, young FBI agent. It was okay. I thought it was okay. Have you seen the advertisement for it?
No, no.
You,
But
Jeff?
I saw a couple of ads, and actually, I was at the drive-ins with my grandson, and the first feature was Deadpool. Well, it is kind of a known fact in the family that I'm great for the first feature.
Okay.
And then by the time the second feature is on, which is usually, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I start out strong. And then I fall asleep. So I caught like the first 15, 20 minutes of Longlegs. And then I fell asleep. And then I woke up and I caught 10 or 15 more minutes of Longlegs. And then I fell asleep. And then I woke up and caught another couple of minutes. And then I woke up again when my grandson's nudging me and saying, "Hey, the movie's over." And I said, "Well, what the heck happened?" And then, then he explained the ending to me, and I said, "Oh,
yeah." I mean, it's doing okay. I mean, it says right now it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 85, so people like it. The actress who I was thinking of is Micaiah Monroe. That's her name. She was like along with Nicolas Cage. She was like the FBI agent, and an actor I haven't seen in a long time in anything. Blair Underwood was actually in it.
I like him. I remember him from L.A. Law.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, it was decent. I mean, you guys, if you feel like watching a detective horror supernatural story, then yeah, have at it. I mean, because it was okay. It was all right. I thought it was okay.
I've seen him in a couple of decent movies where he's serious or somewhat serious. Gone in 60 Seconds. And I think the other one that I can off the top of my head is Snake Eyes. But Gone in 60 Seconds, he played a decent character in it, and kind of serious role. But after, I think it's been like 2 years that he came out with so many movies that I'm saying, no, not for me. No, not for me. So if this is decent enough and he's a somewhat serious role, then I'll probably see it and see, how it turns out. I'm up for a good movie. I don't care to waste my time because I think Nicholas played a movie where he was actually playing himself, that he rented himself out. And yeah, one of the characters that rented him out was a millionaire. He's going to star in the new Gladiator movie. And he was also in, what was that one Star Wars series that he was in? I can't remember the actor's name, but.
Oh, Pedro Pascal?
Yeah. Pascal. Pedro Pascal was also the co-star in that movie. And I'm going, yeah, wow. They lent themselves out for this one, and so I didn't watch it. I watched enough in the previews. So I'll watch this one if you're saying it's decent.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent.
Well, I want to go. I want to go Nicolas Cage. I want to go high and I want to go low. And the first movie that I can remember seeing with him is, I believe, it's called
Valley Girls.
No, 8mm, where he's a police detective and he's investigating snuff films.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yep.
that was the first movie that ever made me feel that I needed to take a shower, because it was just, it hit all the, ick factors for me. And to me, that's been the best role of his career. Now, on the other end of things, he did a remake of The Wicker Man, which is one of my, favorite films
Oh,
from
yes,
out of the 70s.
absolutely.
And they redid it, and it was wretched.
It was.
They put the container of bees on his head, and he goes, "No, not the bees." And the other low point were the two Ghost Rider movies.
Oh,
And the first thing I want to say is, I don't know who was doing his makeup, but that hair was. I laughed just thinking about how horrible his hair was. And then they did the second one, and they didn't even do it in the United States. They actually did it in Romania, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. And oh, horrible, horrible, horrible.
But I mean, like I say, I agree with you. But I'll give him, I'll give him his props. I mean, he played a very legitimately creepy character, which, like I said, I think that's where he shines the best, when he's playing these like really weirdos or creepy people. That's where I think he shines at. So honestly, yeah, I think he did good. I think he did good in this movie. I'll just leave it at that.
now the other one that I can think of that he did, and I'm a big war buff, was the one that he played a Marine in, and he got injured, and God, it was a big film back in, I think it was in 2002 or 2003,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't recall the name of it, but you may recall, Jeff, where it's in the Pacific Theater, and at the beginning of the movie he gets hurt and he gets sent to a rehab hospital in Hawaii, and then he gets it back with the Code Talkers. I think it was called Code Talkers.
Yeah, the Apaches.
Yeah, that was a good movie that he played in. But like I said, it's few and far apart for me and Nicholas that I like one of his movies. But I'll give this one a shot and see.
Yeah. Like I say, I mean, it's like, if you like detective movies, trying to figure out, especially like
Oh,
those ones. There are some decent ones out there when you have the person trying to chase down a serial killer. But like I
like
say
seven,
now, I'm sorry.
like seven.
Yeah, exactly. But this one, the only difference is this one has like it's a supernatural element that
Oh,
it
okay.
all comes out at the end. At the end, you'll figure out what's going on or whatever. But like I say, it's decent. It's a decent movie. I'll give him, I'll give him credit. He did a decent job in it. So the last part of our show is the question of the week, which is, who would you say is the greatest movie villain of all time? So that's covering all different genres. I mean, it could be horror, fantasy, sci-fi, any movie, any movie. We're going across the board tonight. So
Not one movie, or it has to be a series of movies.
if it's the same character that was in a series of movies, then that's fine. I'll start.
Okay.
Oh boy, and this was really hard for me. This was difficult because I was thinking of one character in particular that, like you said, has been in multiple movies, and then one. Okay, so let me tell you who was the one that didn't get it. The person that didn't get it for me was. Have you all seen the movie 30 Days of Night?
Yeah.
Okay, the name of the vampire that was the in charge of all the other vampires, his actual name was Marlowe. And that guy, I mean, this there was this one scene that to this day is just like, wow, that scene was brutal, where there was this young girl that was like surrounded on all sides by the vampires, right? She knew she was gonna die relatively soon. And so I guess I don't know if he had already told her. I don't remember the story now. I don't remember if he had already had her do something, or if if she just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But either or, she was like just crying, just trembling, like, and she says, "Oh God, please help me." And so he looks at her and he says, "God," and then he looks up at the sky. He looks to the left. He looks to the right and looks back at her and is like, "No God." Right? And then he just proceeds to like shred this girl along with the other vampires. I thought that cat that was brutal, man. That he played a brutal role in that movie. But my number one, I think, greatest villain of all time, which goes hand in hand with the sad report that we lost James Earl Jones this week, is Darth Vader. Um, the guy was brutal, you know. The guy blew up planets with millions and billions of people on it. You know, the Darth Vader was just, to me, I'm saying, I just think, even like I said, just in the Star Wars movies, he made the movies. If there was no Darth Vader, there would be no Star Wars movies. So I think, as far as most greatest villain of all time for me, would have to be Darth Vader.
Now, you see, that's where, and I was going to ask you earlier, because is it a particular character or volume of death? Because one of the ones that came up to my mind, and I'm going way back, was Andromeda. Remember that movie, the Andromeda Strain from the 60s?
Remind me.
Jeff, I thought you'd chime in on this one.
Wait, when they went out in space and they came back and brought that alien virus to Earth, right?
Yeah, I think that it was a 60s movie.
Right.
And then I thought, well, wait a second. If that's where I'm going, I could go. And then before that, I thought about what Thanos, who killed off, but then they got back to life.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But then I thought, well, volume of people again. I'm thinking World War Z with Brad Pitt, with a volume of people dying, and turning into zombies or whatever they were turning to. That was not too far off. That could maybe someday come to light, because we discussed this the other day when you said it recorded, and I thought about AI, and then I said, well, we'll go back then to Terminator. So which one's the one which is the one more fearful to me? I don't know. I can't tell you, because if we go into the superhero world, you have Thanos, who eliminated so many people, but and the second one they were brought back, only with the exception of his folks died.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what would be more conceivable to me that it could happen would be World War Z, where you'll have mass casualties of human life. But then again, if we go maybe 20 years down the road, and AI, and you can't defeat AI because it was created by humans, but can they overtake us? Why not? I can't see that not happening. So it all depends. It's going to be an infection that is going to eliminate mass volumes of folks in this world, or is it going to be AI, excluding, superhero villains? So it's a difficult question for me to answer. My response would be World War Z, where you actually saw it, and they did a pretty good CG in that movie. You saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw the volume of people going up those buildings and going on top of each other. Can that happen if a virus, affects us? And we talk so much about zombie. There's so many zombie movies and TV show. What was that one that was on AMC?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. And the funny part is, wasn't until I left watching it that I'm saying, you never see any snow with the zombies around. Don't they get frozen out? So to me, it would be a virus, and look at the panic that it caused us with COVID. And luckily, well, I can't say that luckily a lot of folks died on it, but if it were to be a superhero, it would be Thanos. And when he got the what is that? The arm, the hand.
Yeah, the Infinity Stone Gauntlet. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But if it were to be real life, it'd have to be either, well, even though it's not animated, but it's a movie, Terminator or World War Z. Because I thought about the Andromeda strain, which was the 60s, and back then you hadn't figured out yet. Yeah, you had World of Worlds and all that, but in the 60s and more reality. And then again, you also have the first one that they made the remake of, which was I Am Legend, which was a copy of the one with Charlton Heston. What is that? I think of
I Am Legend was
Omega Man.
the movie with Vincent Price.
Yeah, I Am Legend, the original one starring Vincent Price.
Yeah, well, I thought it was Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
No, there was actually the first one. There was another one. The original I Am Legend was with Vincent Price, but it wasn't called that. I think it was called The Last Man on Earth, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah. So there's been three different. The one with Will Smith, which is the latest one. Then the one prior to that was Omega Man with Charlton Heston, which is the same thing. Humans turn into creatures, but in Omega Man, it wasn't as bad as I Am Legend. And then the one with Vincent Price, what happened to those folks? How'd they turn?
That's a good question. I saw that movie. I don't. That's a good question, Mario, because they were kind of like vampires and stuff. I don't know if they were. I don't know if they were actually vampires, because it wasn't like. That's a good question. That is a good question. Let me look it up. Who's your villain, Jeff?
Well, I was thinking, and I couldn't narrow it down to one, so I had to split it between three people.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead like they do on what show is that? Match Game, where they start at the last answer and then they work their way up. So my third is, I'm going to agree with you. Darth Vader.
Okay.
He's a bad, rotten scoundrel type of guy, right up into the last Star Wars movie where he saves his son Luke and is destroyed by the Emperor. And he redeems himself because at the end of the movie, he's hanging out with Yoda and Obi-Wan in the afterlife, or wherever you go if you have the Force.
Yeah, Force Ghost.
Yeah. I got to give it to you on that one, because even folks that didn't watch the Star Wars series, whenever they play the Darth Vader theme, everybody knows that trouble's coming.
So, the Imperial March. Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah, it is. I mean, anywhere they play it in a comedy show and they play that, everybody goes off. It's going to stop now. So
My second would be Norman Bates from the original Psycho. I guess I'm not even going to talk about the remake of Psycho.
Okay.
But Norman Bates with his they tried to call it multiple personality back then, and they'd call it dissociative identity disorder today. And I think Norman, had he been normal, whatever normal means, that he would he'd probably be a fairly decent guy, but it was the ghost or the personality of Mother that was just so horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
And for my first, I'm going to toss out Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
He's He's a treating psychiatrist on one hand, and he's a cannibal on the other. I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I was in the store. I can't do that thing he does with his mouth. I can't do that. But it was so funny. We were in the store recently, and we were in the wine section. And you remember he said he wanted to have a Chianti. What was it called? Chianti with
I ate his liver with a knife.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the Chianti wine. I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Yeah. So Mario, but to answer your question, so what it says is there was a plague that went across the world, and if you were infected with the plague, it basically turned you into a vampire. And just like the vampires we know, they were repelled by garlic and mirrors, and they came out at nighttime. So it was just like they were vampires, but they were turned into vampires by the infection from the plague that went around the world.
Okay. Well, see, and the Omega Man and I Am Legend, both of the main characters were in the military. I think they were both colonels, medical doctors, and they're both flying on the helicopter, and both of them, the helicopter fell. So, there's such a similarity in basically being a remake, but it's also those that survived whatever the virus, they turn into kind of like a vampire, or I can't say subhuman, because the characters in Omega Man, they're folks that wear hoods and they can't go out in the daylight. The same with Will Smith, I Am Legend, where they can't come out to the sunlight. So, but like I said, the interpretation of what takes the most amount of lives, yeah, they both did. Again with Thanos, who he eliminated 50%, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big volume. Is it all, are you talking about the universe? You're talking big time,
Yeah.
That's why, what's her name? In the second movie, Captain Marvel goes out and tells in a meeting that they had, well, you don't know I was in another part of the galaxy.
Right.
So in volume, yeah, but it all depends on what, like I said, the mindset. What is it that you're after? The volume or long term, or like I said, in the Terminator one, a few folks are left. Is it just on planet Earth, or did those Terminators go to different parts of the galaxy? So it's kind of difficult to say. The Darth Vader, the Darth Vader also a galaxy guy, but a lot of folks were left in different types of planets. So it all depends. For me, it's a difficult question to answer, or not to answer, but we're talking volume. So.
Yeah, no, that was good. It's so funny. I didn't even think of that, but as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. Because you know what? Even though the people did come back, the fact that you still did it, that you win an award for that. You eliminated half of the universe. Yeah, they came back, but still, nah, you still get award for the bad guy of the decade or year or century for that. So no, that was a good choice, Mario.
But a Fear Factor, that Darth Vader song, and people who don't know about Star Wars, fear comes into their mind.
That's true. Well, gentlemen, that ends our show tonight. I want to thank everyone, our listeners, and we look forward to our next episode. And thanks again, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Right. Y'all be safe.
You too, Jeff.
I'm talking to you too.
All right, bye.